Hi you and welcome back to The Bridge. If it's your first time here, my name is Lindy and I hope that you have been so well. I hope that you're having a good week and happy Thursday. And as you've seen from the title of the video, today we're going to be talking about writing your learner's license test. And the reason why I'm making this video is just to clear up any uncertainties about the entire process. But of course, take everything I say with a pinch of salt and just make sure by going to government websites just to check if the information is accurate. So just to give you a bit of background is I wrote my learner's license test 3 times. And the reason why I wrote them 3 times is because I kept letting my learner's license expire. So the first two expired, and then the last one, the third one, is the one that I actually used to then do my driver's test. But basically, I have different experiences. The first time I wrote my learner's test was a paper one. So as we go further into the video, I'm going to speak about how depending on where you live, there are different processes to book the learner's test. But the first test I wrote was a paper one, and the second test I wrote, the second and third test, was a tablet test. You basically click and click, and they give you your results immediately, right? But let's get into the video. So let's divide this entire process. Let's divide this video into 4 stages. The first is the pre-booking stage. The second is the booking stage. The third is the preparation stage, and the fourth is the writing stage, right? That's just to divide this video so that there's like better clarity on just the entire process. So let's speak about the pre-booking stage. Now this is just the beginning of it all, and you're thinking, hey, maybe I should go write my learner's license test in order to get my learner's license. There are certain things just that you need to have and just you need to think about. So the first is, which code are you going to write? So there's 3 codes, right? You need to pick which code you would like to write, because a specific code will allow you to drive a specific type of vehicle on the road. So make that decision before you book. You have to make that decision before you book, all right? You can even speak with other people about this decision, your parents or just, drivers or just anyone. Just be like, which is the most advisable? All right, so that's the first thing. Also, make sure to go to a local shop. It can be ShopRite, it can be Checkers, and make sure to purchase your K53 book. This is a book with all the instructions and gives you all the information that you need to study that will be in your learner's test. Another thing in this pre-booking stage is to get all your documents in order. So throughout the process, there's going to be different documents that are required from you. The first is definitely like your ID. Always have your ID with you in terms of the whole process. The second thing is they're going to need like photos of you, and you can take these. They're like these small ID pictures that you usually have. You can take these at Postnet. Some internet cafes allow you to take such pictures, and even at the traffic departments, that there'll usually be people around offering you to take pictures and things. So you can also take those pictures there. Yeah, so the government website does specify that it needs to be black and white, but honestly, personally, I went there with colored pictures and they were perfectly fine. So they're going to like sellotape this picture onto your learner's license when you pass, right? So another document that you might need aside from your ID and your photos is your proof of address, so your residential address. So I would recommend that you have an original, but that you also have like a certified copy or copy. Just have that with you. So here they say, if you stay at an informal settlement, you must bring a letter with an official date stamp from the ward councillor confirming your postal and residential address. And then go to a local optometrist, just find an optometrist anywhere and go ask for a driver's eye test. And basically it will, some optometrists are free, like they do it completely free, while others do charge a certain fee. The last time I did it was like maybe like 50 rand to 80 rand, but just be careful because there are some really pricey offices where it's just like, no guys. And just something very important about that eye test is once you do get that eye test, don't fold it. In other words, you're going to get a document like this. Don't do that, right? Don't fold it, because an optometrist told me that once you fold it, it's like not valid anymore. So don't fold it. So it's probably the best thing to just have like a plastic folder in which you keep all these documents with you. Another thing that you need to have is, because you'll be paying certain fees along the way. So there's going to be a booking fee, that's to confirm your place to write. And there's also going to be an issuing fee later when you pass the test in order to actually get that document, right? I would highly recommend that you have this in a card, like in a bank card, because some traffic departments that you go to only accept bank cards. They don't accept cash. So I'd highly advise that you have it in a card. The second stage that we're moving on to is the booking stage. Now, this is going to differ depending on where you live. Some provinces have an online booking system, while other provinces have an in-person booking system. From what I know, it seems as if Gauteng is the one that has the online booking system. This is called as the NATIS booking system, right? So let's start with online. So you're going to go to the NATIS online booking system, right? I've put the link in the description box down below. And you're going to click on booking your learner's license, right? Book to write your learner's license. And then they're going to request a bunch of information from you. So that's just like your name, your surname, your ID number, other information. But one of the things you're going to have to specify is which code you want to write. And then you're going to go on to selecting the date. Now, the website will tell you this, but each traffic department has a date on which they release spots. So for example, they'll say, this traffic department in Sandton releases dates on a Monday. I don't know if they specify the time, but basically that means on a Monday, you have to be checking on the website to see whether they've released available spots. And if you see that they've released spots, you quickly select your date and time and you book, right? But aside from these dates and times, I've been in situations where even if that specific traffic department releases dates on a Monday, I check on a Wednesday and there's an availability, because there's going to be people who cancel their spots. There's going to be spots that just aren't confirmed. And because of that, there might be randomly throughout the week spots that become available. So I would highly suggest that throughout the week, randomly, whenever you have time, go onto the website, put in your information, and just check whether or not your specific traffic department has an available spot. All right. So you're going to put in all this information, select your date and time, and then they're going to give you a document. Right? You're gonna submit. You're gonna give you a document. This is where you need to be really careful. On that document that they've given you, there are two dates. The first date is the date that you have reserved, the date that you have selected that you want to write your learner's test. But towards the bottom of the page, there is another date. That's the date by which you need to pay in order to confirm your spot. That means just because you've booked online doesn't mean you're actually doesn't mean you've confirmed your spot. You need to go in person, give them your ID, they're going to type their things, you're going to pay the booking fee, and only then are they going to give you a document to confirm the date on which you're writing. Think of it like this: booking online just temporarily reserves your spot, but it's only when you go in person to that traffic department and pay, only then is your spot confirmed. Only then have you confirmed that you'll be writing your learner's test. That's a mistake that a lot of people make. That's a mistake that I made the very first time that I applied. I thought, oh, because I've booked online, like the next thing I need to go do is just to go to the traffic department on the day that I write and write. That's not true. If you do not pay that amount by that date that they specify, you will lose your place. To a lot of people, it's like kind of redundant because, well, why do you have this online system to make things more convenient if I still have to go in person to go confirm my spot? But that's just how it works. You either pay by or on that date, before or on that date, right? And then you pay the fee. So that is the online booking system. Let's talk about the in-person booking system. Now, it's a good thing and a bad thing because there isn't this like two-part thing where you book online. Everything is done in person. So you wake up early in the morning, you go to the traffic department, you stand in the queue and you fill out a form. So make sure that you bring along a black pen. You fill in a form. In that form, you also have to specify which code you'll be writing for. And then basically the entire process happens there, and at that same time you pay the booking fee and they give you a document to confirm that you'll be writing on this date. The difference is, well, when I went there, which was in 2021, you don't choose a date, they tell you which date you're going to write on, right? So they'll say, well, we have an availability for the 31st of July 2026. That's the date that you'll be writing. So make sure that you bring all your documents there on that date. Like I said before, rather have too many documents than too little, because the last thing you want is to get to the front of the queue and then they're like, well, you don't have this document, so come back tomorrow. Now let's move on to the preparation stage. So the K53 book that you have bought contains all the information that you need to study in order to prepare for your test. And the content is divided into 3 sections, right? The first is the rules of the road. These are just the rules of the road that you need in order to drive. For example, are you allowed to drive with a phone in your hand? How long are you allowed to park in a certain place before your car gets taken away? The second section is road signs. So what does this yellow sign mean that has an 80 on it? What does this triangular sign mean that has like little things like that? What does that mean? Like this brown sign, like what does it tell you about this building? The third section is controls in the car, or whichever vehicle you'll be testing for. A question that could be asked is, which pedal or which part of the car does a manual vehicle have that an automatic vehicle doesn't have? And then you have to say the clutch, and like usually this is tested in pictures. So I would say the best way to study this is to like get into a car or to even watch a YouTube video and just to see like parts of a car. If you've watched someone else drive, then you probably already know this information. You'll find that in the test itself, the test isn't divided into like sections, like rules of the road. Like all the questions are kind of like, question 1 will be rules of the road, question 2 will be road sign, question 3 will be rules of the road again. So work through your K53 book. The thing that I found helpful is just there'll be random questions on each page. Work through those random questions. Test yourself. Look at the back of the book. That's where all the answers are, and see whether or not your answers are correct. And just work through it and work through it. Another really helpful thing to do is to download the K53 app. So there's two apps that are available on Play Store. Work through the tests in those apps. Those tests, I think one app will have like 3 tests. Work through those tests over and over and over again, just to see how well you're doing, just to see what information you need to go back to in your K53 book and to revise. Work through those tests. Those are the most helpful. Practically, when you're driving and you're walking or you're going somewhere and you see a sign next to the road, ask yourself, what does that mean, right? What does this sign mean? What does that sign mean? As you go wherever you're going. So that's the preparation phase. It's just like studying the information, practicing, practicing, and practicing. If someone else is with you, ask them to test you, ask them to ask you questions in the book and for you to give answers. Let's move on to the fourth part of this video, which is the writing stage. And just make sure, make sure you have like enough sleep. Don't sleep too late. Have a black pen with you, because when you pass, you're going to have to fill out something like a certain form. Have all your documents with you, your ID with you, or just in case, just have, and your photos. Have your photos with you. And then go to the traffic department. I would recommend that you're there at least 30 minutes beforehand. If you booked online and your writing date happens to be the same date by which you need to confirm, make sure you're there extra early in order to pay, to confirm, and then to write afterwards. So you're just basically just going to arrive at the traffic department. There's probably going to be like a seating area where other people are sitting and waiting to write their learner's test too. And then there's going to be someone who calls you. You stand in line and she looks at your ID. I'm not sure if she looks at your confirmation document, but that person has a list. And they say, okay, and you sit down. You're going to sit at like your own like tablet kind of thing. You're going to select the language. You're going to put in your ID number, and the assessor is going to work with you through an example question just to familiarize yourself with that system. It's really simple and basic, so don't worry about anything. You can always call for help if you need help to just like navigate the system. You're going to answer all the questions. The assessor will tell you the minimums that you need. In the paper exam, it's going to work quite similar. They're going to give you a paper, like book and answer sheet on which you have to like write the answers. So make sure, I'm not sure whether or not they give you pencils and erasers or not. I forgot that information, but better to be safe than sorry. Just have pencils and erasers with you. They're going to tell you exactly the sub-minimums that you need. They usually write it down on a board, and then you write. You have, I forgot how long you have. My recommendation would be take it as slowly as you can. Read every question properly. Do it slowly, read the questions slowly, work through your options slowly, but don't do it so slowly that you start to second guess yourself. So just do it at like a 4 out of 10 pace, like a 4 out of 10, 3 out of 10 pace. Don't do it at a 1, because then you might start to question yourself, but you know yourself, so do it at the pace that is comfortable for you. If you run into a question that you're really not sure about, there are two things that I did. It's either I just guessed the thing that I thought was most probable. So I was like, well, that looks like the most correct answer, I think. And then I just pressed it. And then at the end, I just made sure to read through every single question again and look at my answers in order to see whether or not I want to change, or maybe new information that I remembered has come back and I'm like, oh no, it was that. Or I just skip the question completely and go back to it at the end. But don't linger on a question that you don't know for too long, because it might cause you to panic and start second guessing everything else while you know all the other answers. Remember, there is a small room to get things wrong. So don't be discouraged by a question that you don't know the answer to. All right. At the end of the exam, Online version, you get your results immediately. Paper version, you basically have to leave the room in order to give time, the assessor time in order to mark every single exam paper. So you're gonna leave the room for a bit and then come back after a while. They'll tell you by when you have to come back, or they'll just call you. If you pass, there's gonna be certain things that you have to work through. So for example, they will test your eyes, and then you'll have to pay the issuing fee, and it'll do your fingerprints, and then sellotape your photo onto the certificate, and then you've got your learner's license. That will expire after 2 years. I just like to warn you, it looks like a long time, it's not. Rather do your driver's test earlier, because even if you fail your driver's test, you still have time to redo and to redo and to redo. If you failed your learner's test, that is okay. Like, it's not the end of the world at all, at all, at all. Just book again and come rewrite again. Don't be phased by it. Don't be discouraged by it. Like, don't be like, oh my goodness, I failed. I'm just not gonna write it again. I'm just gonna wait 4 years in order to try and write it again. Don't do that. See your marks where you didn't go as well. Like, so for example, if controls you did great, science you did great, but it's the rules of the road that you're struggling with, then go back to your K53 rules of the road and see exactly, okay, I just need to practice more on this, practice on this. Honestly, my recommendation is to go back to try again as soon as you can. If it's the next week, it's the next week, but don't wait too long before you try again. Yeah, so then you get your learner's license, and then that's that. You can start practicing to drive on the road with a licensed driver. And then yeah, I hope this video has been informative to you. If there's anything to add, if there's anything that I got wrong, if there have been any updates to the system and to the process, please write it in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your opinion. And if there's any other videos that you'd be, if you'd want to see or anything like that, please also write them in the comments down below. And I hope you have an amazing day, an amazing week forward, and write the learner's test calmly and amazingly too. I'll see you in the next video. God bless and bye.